I moved into transitioning into using these kind of rubrics. Using those kind of rubrics, I was still using like a 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 4 model. So, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, has 7 criterion. The assignment would have been out of 28. I still take all those threes, score them, they get whatever mark they get. And so this was going really well, but then I started to notice that I was putting so much work into feedback and they weren't taking it. And because, the 1-point rubric requires a lot more effort on my part to actually be thoughtful about the assessment I'm doing. And I was being more thoughtful, and then they were still just taking it and tossing it in the recycling bin. And I would just it's like devastating. It's like heartbreaking. You just spent all this time assessing these essays and giving all this feedback, and they're like, oh, great, 82 in the garbage, right? And not only was that, in my opinion, saying something about my assessment, but it was saying something about how they valued school and how they valued learning, right? And it just started me on this path of like, what are we doing here? What are we doing in school? What's the point of all of this? Because if the point is that kids come and they're compliant and they do what they've been asked and they leave and they graduate, it's like, that's lame. Like, I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to prepare kids to work in a factory. I want to prepare kids to think and to, question the world and analyze the way things work. And so I started leaning more into this idea of going gradeless. And so now my high school ELA classes are all gradeless. I don't put grades on any assignments. The way it works is that, and it's a process, there's a lot of steps that go into this process. And I wanted to show the book. So this book by Sarah M. Zerwin called Pointless was kind of my launching point for going gradeless in my classroom. This book really helped me kind of formulate my thinking around it and actually put it into practice, not just as this big, cool idea. And so now basically what happens is 2 times throughout the semester, I either meet with students or we conference digitally, through messaging and stuff. And we do goal setting, they reflect and they say, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And this is the grade I think I've earned so far. And this is based on a holistic rubric that they fill in and they assess themselves on. And I say, when I give them, I should go back a second here. When I give them a rubric now in my gradeless system, this is what it looks like. So on one side you have progressing, on one side you have exceeding, and in the middle you have meeting. And then the side is filled with empty space for my feedback. And so I don't often end up writing if they're exceeding, it all goes on this, I just kind of write on the paper and it's kind of a disaster, but they figure it out. And so that's what my rubrics look like now. And the way that it works now is that they give me the paper, I fill in the rubric, assess, give it back to them, and the assignment is not considered complete unless they use the feedback and hand it back in. So the only way that they can earn a complete grade in EDSB or in gradebook is that they have to take the feedback and improve the piece. Otherwise, it's considered half done. It's not finished. And so then they give it back to me and I assess again, but this time more focused on and by assess, I mean, this time it's I really loved that you took this feedback and I think you really improved this part of your essay. And if you want to continue improving, here's something you should think about. And that's it. That's the end of the assessment. And so in terms of the growth and change of my pedagogy, I believe that good teachers are constantly reflecting and we're constantly thinking about how we can do it better. And I think in terms of assessment often gets left behind in that practice. We think about instruction. We think about, you teach something one day in period 1 and it goes terribly and you have to teach that class again in period 4. So you're let's fix this. I need to do something different. And you fix that, but the assessment stays the same. right? We don't think about necessarily the assessment and the instruction as like one piece. And I think if we're talking about how my views have changed over time, that's a big part of it, is that I've realized how connected the two are. And I think what really caused the shift was just assessing and seeing like, this isn't really cutting it. It's not really working.